This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. We are breaking with convention. War, peace, and the presidency. I'm Amy Goodman. As we broadcast from Cleveland, Ohio, covering the Republican National Convention inside and out, from the streets to the corporate suites to the convention floor. It's now official. Donald Trump has become the official presidential nominee of the Republican Party. Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., cast the votes for the New York delegation that put Trump over the top of the needed 1,237 delegates.
It is my honor to be able to throw Donald Trump over the top in the delegate count tonight with 89 delegates and another 6 for John Kasich. Congratulations, Dad. We love you.
Donald Trump is expected to officially accept the nomination Thursday night, but he briefly spoke to delegates via satellite from Trump Tower.
We're going to bring back our jobs. We're going to rebuild our depleted military and take care of our great veterans. We're going to have strong borders. We're going to get rid of ISIS. And we're going to restore law and order. We have to restore, and quickly, law and order.
One of the most animated moments Tuesday night came during a speech by New Jersey Governor Christie, who is a finalist to be Donald Trump's running mate. Governor Christie staged a mock trial of Hillary Clinton.
I got another question for you. As to Hillary Clinton lying to the American people about her selfish, awful judgment in making our secrets vulnerable, what's your verdict? Guilty or not guilty? Now, time after time after time, the facts, and just the facts, lead you to the same verdict, both around the world and here at home. In Libya and Nigeria, guilty. In China and Syria, in Iran and Russia and Cuba, and here at home for risking America's secrets to keep her own and lying to cover it all up.
During Governor Christie's speech about Hillary Clinton, Republican delegates repeatedly broke into chants of "lock her up."
So, as to Hillary Clinton, the charge of putting herself ahead of America, guilty or not guilty?
While delegates chanted "lock her up" and "guilty," Governor and former prosecutor Chris Christie is immersed in his own scandal. 5 of the governor's appointees have drawn the attention of federal prosecutors over corruption allegations. One of his close allies has just pled guilty to federal bribery charges. After Governor Christie's speech, Hillary Clinton tweeted, quote, "If you think Chris Christie can lecture anyone on ethics, we have a bridge to sell you," unquote. Joining us now is Bob Henley, a political analyst, investigative reporter in New Jersey, regular contributor to Salon and City and State and Who, What, Why. It's good to see you. I saw you last night at the convention at the queue, as they call it.
You hadn't been arrested yet.
Though had to deal with police as I was coming in, as they were taking on Code Pink protesters. I mean, hundreds of police, riot police from a number of states, because they had tennis balls. Tennis balls are not allowed in the area, but semi-automatic rifles are. But on the issue of what was happening inside, you come from New Jersey, Bob. You've been covering Governor Christie and the scandal there. Talk about the significance of what he did last night, staging a mock trial of Hillary Clinton.
Well, I think first that they said the agenda was make America work again. And that is something certainly Americans want to hear, because it's been very slow. These 8 years have been disappointing for working people. And when he went into the ad hominem attack like that, it did take on the vibe. I was right at the New York and New Jersey delegation at the foot of it. It felt like a lynch mob. It felt menacing. And one of the things that's, of course, ironic is that Governor Christie is at the center of this huge Bridgegate scandal, which we've covered. And we know, for instance, that...
Explain just very briefly
sure, of course.
For a global audience.
Back in 2013, on the eve of what looked to be a very easy re-election, some of his minions decided that they were going to punish the mayor of Fort Lee, a Democrat, for not endorsing Governor Christie. So on the actual anniversary of September 11th, when tensions are pretty high, even around the George Washington Bridge. It's considered a critical terrorism target potentially. They closed the lanes, which created a traffic coronary for days. Ambulances had trouble. This was the first day of school for kids, so it was traumatic. The governor said he didn't know anything about it. It went on and on and on. Eventually, Bridget Kelly, who is his chief of staff, fell on the sword, and it turned out that there was enough information in emails that the U.S. attorney was able to see that this was a conspiracy among at least his close confidants, both inside the Port Authority and at the highest level of his administration, to do something very petty with a very important asset on a very serious day.
And so what has come of that? Why did you end up writing this piece? Chris Christie's Week from Hell. 5 of the governor's appointees have drawn the attention of federal prosecutors over corruption allegations. We're talking about this past week.
Right. Well, we had originally back last year, Bridget N. Kelly and Bill Baroni, who was a high-ranking appointee in the Port Authority, a close confidant of Governor Christie. They were indicted. David Wallstein, another close confidant of Governor Christie, was in the Port Authority. He pled guilty, which set into motion the idea that you have someone now who's making admissions to the government. Then just last week, David Sampson, who is a former attorney general, head of his transition team, one of the most powerful lawyers in New Jersey, pled guilty for, of all things, taking a bribe in the form of 27 flights on an airplane that United specially scheduled for him once a week, called the Chairman's Flight, and he would control the agenda on behalf of United. And of course, just for the cherry on the sundae, Jamie Foxx, the transportation commissioner under Christie, was also charged. So, needless to say, for a U.S. attorney, which Chris Christie is, former, these were very strange developments. Plus, he can't find his cell phone, and he deleted texts in the process of all this. So he has a serious exposure here, Amy.
And so the significance of where he stands, I'm going to see if we can go to a clip. I got a chance to see Governor Christie the first night when he first came into the hall, embracing the delegates from the New Jersey delegation. And I only had one quick second to ask him a question. So this is what I asked him.
Governor Christie, do you feel betrayed by Donald Trump?
Not at all.
Law enforcement
I'm the chairman of his transition.
So I asked him if he feels betrayed by Donald Trump. A rumor had it that he was one of the finalists for vice presidential nominee, running mate of Donald Trump. He didn't get it. Tonight, Governor Pence will be formally nominated. And his answer was, no, I don't feel betrayed. I'm head of the transition team. What is the transition team at this point?
Well, it's like a talent scout. And I would say for Donald Trump, with the odds, we have Chris Christie's made 5 picks that were the attention of prosecutors. That may not be such a good idea for Donald Trump.
I mean, do you think he's vying for example, Attorney General?
I think certainly when I went around the floor last night, that kind of spontaneously came up from delegates, the way that he did that performance art, it would seem so. Also, being chief of staff is nothing to sneeze at. But of course, the prerequisite for this would be that Donald Trump would have to win. I mean, for it to have any meaning.
And the relationship that they have, which he emphasized last night.
I mean, it's funny, I did have an opportunity to talk to Donald Trump. At one period, I was trying to get a response from him about the devastation in Atlantic City for small businesses. People forget he had these multiple corporate bankruptcies, and the way he cast it in the election, Trump did, that this was something where banks took a haircut. Well, who doesn't like that, of course? But in reality, I called ministers down there and I said, please, if you have congregants who are injured economically, please have them call me. Well, Amy, I heard from florists, carpenters, carpet installers who had all been ripped off by Donald Trump. I sent these comments, including the quotes from the clergy, to Donald Trump's lawyer. Donald Trump did call me back, and his explanation was they made money with me on the way up, they got clipped on the way down. And when I was speaking with him on background, of course, about Christie, I didn't get the sense that there was this tremendous admiration for him. There was a kind of friendship. But remember, New Jersey's a basket case economically. We have the highest foreclosure rate. The state has not regained any of its jobs at the rate even New York or anywhere else around the state. So it's still in free fall.
And of course, Donald Trump has a close relationship with the state of New Jersey. It's where his 4 bankruptcies took place in Atlantic City.
Right, and he was really the guy that was identified with the up years when it came to casino gambling.
You have looked at Cleveland.
Right.
What was the group? The Economic Innovation Group says Cleveland is the most distressed big city in America.
Right. Well, this is actually true of all of urban America. If one of the things we have to understand is the corporate media denies us the sense of our own circumstance about what's happening. It's important to know that the National Association of Counties, not a Marxist front group, says out of the 3,069 counties, Amy, only 7% have experienced a recovery. So that means this country is continuing to economically unravel. 2.5 million homes, 6,000 of them here in Cleveland, that are empty and abandoned and continuing to lose value. So people in communities of color in Cleveland have seen an 80% destruction in their household wealth. That means that under the President Obama, we've seen the largest level of African-American household wealth destruction in the history of the Republic. And for whatever reason, the Democrats don't want to mention it, Bernie Sanders didn't want to mention it, but it's still out there as a reality. In this city, not far from here, there are some areas where 50% of the children live below the poverty line. And Philadelphia is no picnic either.
And lead poisoning. I mean, we talk about it in Flint, but here in Cleveland, this old city.
Across the country, we really had an anti-urban policy. So we did in the 60s and 70s, deindustrialization. And now what you have here in Cleveland is downtown. You do have a gentrification, an effort to concentrate some effort in turning it around, but this is not a brought along the city.
Well, we're going to hear from some of the people in the streets who actually live here, some of the vendors who are trying to make some money while the Republican National Convention is here. Bob Henley, thanks so much for joining us, political analyst, investigative reporter, New Jersey regular contributor to Salon and City and State, and Who, What, Why. We'll link to his pieces. This is Democracy Now! Breaking with Convention.